Hi YouTube. I just want to put together a quick video. You know, people ask me all the time about my strategies for building up my gold and silver stack, and it's really not as simple as I'm just going to rush out and buy 3,000 ounces of silver and 50 ounces of gold. You know, I kind of have a method to my madness. I kind of like to lay it out here for you. Tell me what makes sense and what doesn't. But I'll say this, the way that I'm wired, I'm just very comforted when I have a plan, okay? I'm not a fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants kind of guy. You know, in some ways I envy those guys because they seem more worry-free. But I've always been the type of person that needs to have a plan, needs to work towards it, something that kind of makes sense to me. I know it's not spontaneous, and I know it's kind of boring probably, but you guys don't have to marry me. You just have to hang out with me on YouTube. So here's what I kind of have in mind. You know, at one point I was thinking about doing a video called "It Takes a Village to Build Your Silver Stack," and the point I was going to make was, you know, a lot of things have to go right in your life. You have to have a lot of partners in your life to help you build your stack. Okay, whether it's your employer, whether it's your spouse, you know, you. In some cases, I've talked about the banks being unwitting partners, right, with credit card sign-up bonuses and everything else. At a certain point, I want my silver stack to actually work as hard for me as I do it for it, okay? And we'll kind of get into that. Before we do, though, I feel like silver is a screaming bargain relative to gold right now. People do give me a little bit of a hard time when I talk about gold. You have to understand that starting out, it was all about silver. But at a certain point, you know, adding a little bit of gold does make sense to me, just in case the market is completely out of whack and will just stay that way. You know, who's to say that the gold to silver ratio won't go to 100 to 1, right? So at a certain point, I just pulled that number out of my butt. Relax, guys. But at a certain point, when you accumulate enough silver, you have to at least start thinking about gold a little bit, okay? And that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been dipping my toe in the water. But that won't always be the case. At a certain point, my silver stack will get big enough that regardless of what the gold to silver ratio is, I will probably shift gears to gold. Maybe that'll be the market telling me that my timing is just horrendous here and that gold really was the better value all along. I don't see it that way, but the market could prove me wrong. Okay, but here's what my thought process is. I have a lot of government bullion, got a lot of Eagles, got some Philharmonics, I have some generics, right? I have my Scottsdale hand pour, which I hope to never sell. I love my hand pours. You know, I have some other generics, although that's probably going to be a little bit separate. The plan there is to trade that for gold when the gold to silver ratio is about 40 to 1. I will be trading some of that in for gold at that point. Let me put it this way. I bought 100 Scottsdale bars a few months ago, and I paid $2,300, okay? And if I trade that in for gold at a ratio of 40 to 1, I can get 2.5 ounces. And if I were to do that, that means that I locked in a price of gold at $920 an ounce. Okay, by buying silver first and then trading it in for gold when it gets to that ratio, and I think it will someday, and I'll discuss that in a moment. But that's like locking in a future ounce of gold at $920 an ounce. That is my plan with the government bullion, with the generics. Okay, I would like to trade some of that in for gold. Now that won't be trading my entire silver stack in, but it will be basically locking in a profit and turning it into gold at that point. If you look at the gold to silver ratio, 40 seems to be the number that is very difficult to break through, okay? And what I envision there is a silver price of roughly $50 an ounce and a gold price of $2,000 an ounce. That's kind of how I mentally see it. Yeah, I don't have the data to back that up. That's just kind of, those are the numbers that kind of make sense to me as far as that goes. That's where I could see it meeting that 40 to 1 ratio. And that is where I would accumulate some gold. And yeah, I will have locked it in for $920 an ounce. So that kind of makes sense to me. That'll make it a lot easier to build my gold stack from that point. I have some legacy pieces, guys. I have a 1955 proof set in a flat pack. Now, what's different about this is before 1955, the proof sets actually came in a box. And 1955 was the first year that it came in this envelope. And, what will that be worth in 30 or 40 years for my kids? I envision handing this down. I think it'll be worth a lot more than it is now. And I have a few other pieces that will probably, I'll treat it the same way. I call them legacy pieces, things that I'd like to hand down to my kids. Hopefully by that time, my silver and gold stack is big enough that, having a few pieces just to pass down that I don't rely on for retirement income will be there for me. And I don't know what that is. I go through my stack and I'm like, okay, what would I want to keep here? What would I lock in for profits? And people ask me all the time, are you concerned that you're becoming a collector? Are you concerned that you can't part with it when the time comes? And I can tell you this with a resounding, it's not a problem for me. And I'm finding this out now because I got my first flip that I worked on a little while ago, and I'll be detailing it for you guys when the time comes. But I wanted to prove something to myself, and I passed with flying colors. So, so that's that. Now here's the last piece. Anything that has a premium attached to it, okay, will be getting flipped when the time comes. Anything. Whether it's my kookaburras, whether it's my Lunar Series, whether it's my koalas, when the time comes and it makes sense, I will be flipping these, selling these, and buying more silver with it. That's the point where my silver stack will become self-sustaining or self-growing. Okay, I literally envision a time where my silver stack reaches about 2,500 ounces, and literally I don't have to put another dime into it. It will grow by itself. Okay, I will be locking in profits on different pieces of silver and taking the proceeds and buying other types of silver with it and adding ounces. Okay, and that obviously isn't going to happen in a year, but it's kind of cool to think that my silver stack could grow by 20% in terms of ounces by cashing in on some of the premium coins that I have. Again, this is something that I've already got working on here, and once the flip is complete, which will be soon, I'll be kind of detailing it. But that's an important part of my strategy down the road. And people ask me about the time frame that I'm looking at, and I see it as basically 3 years. I see a lot of the better bullion plays, if you will, the semi-numismatic, the coins with potential for numismatic appreciation. I see that stuff as like being a 3-year thing. So right now I'm obviously in the accumulation phase, but 3 years out I can see turning a lot of these over. Because like I said before, what's easily available today becomes exotic in a couple of years. It doesn't take long. That was one of the things that when I was on that Internet Time Machine thing site. And I was just like, if this was 2005, I'm just shopping 2006. I'm just shopping along on the internet, and all this stuff is just available for, what it is, the normal price. The Lunar Series horses right now, we're all scrambling for it. Well, again, there's somebody out there that is going to be entering the market in a couple of years, and that's going to be something he's going to covet, and he's going to have to go to the secondary market to pick it up. So just to net it out, just to make it simple, generic and government will be getting turned into gold when the ratio is at 40-1. There are some numismatic legacy timepieces that I will be hanging on to, that no matter what, these will be going to the kids, unless I hit a real home run. And yes, there will be pieces that I will be parting with and flipping for more ounces. And once my stack is at a certain point, it'll grow on its own. So that's my strategy. Let me know what you think. I know that there will be some, obviously when you do something like this, some people will say, I'll get some criticism, or, the silver to gold ratio is going to shrink beyond 40 to 1. And again, that's fine. If it does shrink below 40 to 1, I will have plenty of silver. Trust me, it's not like it's all going to gold. But I like the thought of locking in right now a future ounce of gold for $920. So that's just kind of the way I see it. Let me know what you think.